1 2 1 2 1 2. I want to make sure that I am live up in here, up in here. 1 2 1 2. Well, first of all, family, I want to thank you all for coming out. Those of you who are here, I want to thank you in advance. Those of you who are watching in the live, who will watch on the live on the recorded version of this live, I should say. This is the real Wise OG. I had to put real in there because somebody bit my original Wise OG name, so I want to let you know this is the original, not the fake, but the original. Family, I really appreciate all of the support. Those of you who come through, who've been watching these videos. We had a really big short that came out, I want to say yesterday. It's doing really well, over 900 views. Apparently we have some people here, some brothers who care about being better fathers, and that's very important. And the whole goal of this channel is to provide the type of life lessons and wisdom and discipline and responsibility discussions that help to build better men. And when I say build better men, I don't just mean in one capacity. In every space we enter, we have the ability to raise people up, those who want to be raised, of course. Some people are cool with dysfunction, so you couldn't raise them if you tried, because you can't help people. You can't save people. They have to want to save themselves, right? But I think it is a blessing to be in a space here. People like yourselves come out and support. Beautiful comments people are leaving, saying that they find this stuff relevant. And a lot of people watching, I think, from my Facebook and my TikTok. Really appreciate all of you. I have to say that from the very beginning, because gratitude is always the answer. No matter what the problem is, gratitude will help you. And in fact, that would be one of the antidotes for being miserable that I'm going to talk about at some point today. Anyway, family, I think I had enough of that. Let's get started. This discussion, this live broadcast will be centered around the topic of 5 solid ways to prevent being a miserable person. Lord have mercy. 5 ways to prevent from being a miserable person. I want to start by being real direct with this. Miserable people destroy every space they enter. Nothing makes them happy. Nothing impresses them. Everything and everybody annoys them. They always complaining. They always criticizing somebody. They don't know when to fall back and chill out. They drain people emotionally. And the dangerous part of this is that many of them actually don't even know they're miserable, and not even aware of the terrible impact and effect they're having on everybody else because they're miserable. Today, my brothers, I want to break down 5 solid ways that you can help prevent yourself from becoming a miserable man. Now, let's kind of define and describe this so we all on the same page. Being miserable is deeper than, you just have a bad day, or you're going through some hard times, you going through medical issues. No, everybody struggles sometimes, and everybody suffers, and everybody feels pain, right? But the difference is that a miserable person wears their negativity and their pain and suffering like a second skin. They wear it like a coat they never take off, right? They become bitter. They're usually negative. They're resentful, deeply resentful. They're constantly irritated. And they seem to be always offended. They can always find something they're really hot and upset about, right? Okay. They're always focused on what's wrong. They're good at finding out what's wrong with you, what's wrong with society, what's wrong with them, what's wrong with life. And they never tend to focus on what's right. You got to pull that out of them. You know what I mean? Like, how you doing? You get a list of 100 things wrong. Well, is there anything going on good? Is there anything you're grateful for? You gotta search for that. And after a while, I think what happens with people, and although I'm talking specifically to men, there's women like this too. This is not a gender based. Anybody can be miserable, but this specifically is for our brothers. After a while, when you think like that, when your mind is in that frequency and that vibration, right? When you're always complaining, upset, and seeing everything is wrong and not grateful ever, that becomes who you are. It's no longer just a personality trait. That actually becomes part of your actual identity. You know, I knew somebody way back in college and undergrad, and this sister would come up, and every time she came up in this space, you'd be like, hey, so-and-so, what's up? And she'd be like, I don't know where to start. This is wrong, and that's wrong, and this is not working, and that ain't good, and I don't know what to. And I mean, it became so obvious and so routine that it became a kind of a closet joke amongst a lot of the people that do it. Like, you know, oh, that's miserable so and so, and it was like almost like a sitcom. Like every time he spoke to her, it was always 5-6 complaints. You know, it was just something. It's really something. It became part of her MO, her identity, right? So have you ever noticed anybody like that? That it seems like they rarely, if ever, have anything good to say? It's always something wrong. Somebody did this to them. This ain't right. And, you know, the whole weight of the world's on their shoulders. And you know, woe is me is their whole. They had a t-shirt that would say, woe is me, right? You give them good news, they find a complaint. You try to motivate them or inspire them, they dismiss it. You show kindness, they still project negativity. And I guess that's because we might say that unresolved misery jades people. It changes the way they see the world. You know, they have a saying for people who are optimists. They say that they wear rose-colored spectacles, rose-colored glasses. In other words, because they're optimistic, everything they see is positive. You know, they spin everything positively, and I guess that's a certain form of illusion to some degree. But I tell you this, I'd rather be the person that sees things positive than the person that sees everything negative. That's a fact, right? That has a number of negative consequences for people. And we now have science, which I'm not going to get into the science of it today, but we now have science that bears witness that people who have a negative way of thinking, who are doomsday, oh, everything's terrible, oh, this is the world, oh my God, you know, that's their whole MO, that's their whole spiel. Those people are more likely to suffer from headaches, pain, can't sleep. I mean, I can go on. This is scientifically proven. I think I did a show related to this before. Not a show, but I did a video. Right. So let's talk about the things that could prevent you from being a miserable person, or if you are already a miserable person, these are some things you can do to miserabilize yourself, if that's a word I just made up. Number one, you want to control what you feed your mind. You know, YSOG is going to always go back to the mind, family. The mind is the central computer. It's the nervous system. It's everything. It's the war room. It's everything. It's where everything takes place. It controls everything. So let's look at it this way. Your mental diet affects your emotional state or condition. So if you're constantly feeding your mind negativity, drama, chaos, outrage, negative gossip, and dysfunction, guess what? It should be no surprise. Eventually, your personality starts reflecting that energy, negative energy, miserable energy, can never get right energy, ain't nothing good enough, ain't nobody good enough energy. Even if you had $1 million cash, you'd be saying, why don't I have $1,001,000? Or why am I $1 million in all 20s? You see, it's almost like some people wake up angry. They go throughout the day, they talking about people, they got bad things, and you know, they scroll on the phone, all these negative things, and they watch arguments and all types of people fighting and doing whatever they're doing online. They're participating in toxic conversations, saying mean things about people or what have you, consuming bad news, tragedies, fires, murders, nonstop, and constantly discussing every single one of their problems with anybody who will listen, right? Then they wonder why they feel what? Drained, emotionally exhausted, and irritated all the time. Listen to this. It's real simple. I just gave you that scenario, right? Now, the human mind, your brain, is absorbing all of this negativity. So it's like, man, 2/3 of your day is spent reading, watching, discussing, and thinking about negative things, right? So if every conversation around you or that you're a part of is dealing with negativity, pain, suffering, tragedy, complaint, annoyance, yeah, your spirit is going to take on a negative complexion, so to speak. If every video you watch, they have a thing. I did a video on another channel I have, and I talked about doom scrolling. It's an actual thing, family. Doom scrolling is when people get on their phone, they just spend hours scrolling. This person got killed. This person got stabbed. This house blew up. This is a car crash. And then when you watch that, again, the science bears witness. If every video you watch is conflict, is tragedy, your emotions become agitated. Now, this can also extend to the conversations, the people you're with, because now we got to talk about not just you. What's your circle look like, right? So if your friendship circle, your brotherhood circle, you get on the phone, you get on video chats with your brothers, you may meet each other up every once a week, whatever y'all do, and y'all are talking about all your problems, gossiping about some other brother who ain't there, displaying jealousy, you're envious of this guy's clothing, this guy gets the women, this guy is athletic, whatever it is. You're talking about drama. Yo, did you hear what happened? Right? Eventually your mind lives right in that space. Your mind takes up a permanent room in that hotel of misery. Now, me personally, I need to speak about myself, where I stand on this. I've been through a number of medical issues, most of which heavily stress related, right? So I'm in a different place now, family. My life is more important than any damn argument you got for me. I don't give a damn what you're talking about. Once I refused to exist in a state of constant bitterness and fear and anxiety and hopelessness, and this will never work, and they doing this, and no, I'm not doing that, because I know what that does to people. All that does is give you strokes, it's gonna give you heart attacks, it's gonna give you poor circulation. Ask me how I know. It's gonna make your life miserable. And as a matter of fact, not only is that my intellectual position about being miserable, but I actually do things. I put things in place so that I will not be miserable. Intentionally. I intentionally protect my mind and spirit and my peace. I want to share a few things with that about my life with you, and then we're going to move on. So early in the morning and late at night, every day, every single day, no matter what happened in my life, good day or bad day, I do a certain routine of things. I give gratitude statements. I come up with maybe 3 or 4 things that I'm grateful for. Now, of course, these things overlap sometimes. Sometimes I say some of the same gratitude statements more than, 2 or 3 days in a week. But I give gratitude statements. I say positive affirmations, things like, I reject all fearful and limiting thoughts. Things like, I attract and manifest peace, opportunity, and abundance. Positive things. There is no problem that I can't solve. There is no tragedy that I cannot bounce back from, right? I also do visualization exercises. So I close my eyes, I play certain music, usually like an instrumental jazz, Put my Coltrane Love Supreme on, or Miles Davis, So What. Close my eyes and I visualize, I see myself accomplishing my goals. I see myself boarding a plane and traveling. I see myself dressed the way I want to be dressed. I see myself giving lectures and writing books and people coming up and buying my books and clapping at my lectures. My relationship is loving and peaceful and prosperous. I see this. I actually project that in my mind. I see it, right? I also, I see myself meeting interesting and empowering people, and I spend time learning new skills. Every day I learn a new word. I learn more about different skills. Every week I'm studying something different. I'm constantly reading online and offline. Learning about things that spark my curiosity. And I use music. I play specific songs that have empowering messages. These are messages not of, oh, it's so bad. Oh, the world's going to end. No, these are songs that have messages like, be optimistic. We will win. We're going to make it. You heard? Yeah. Songs with empowering messages of faith, of hope, of love, of redemption, of not just complaining about what's going on, get mad at these people, what they're doing, but fighting back. I can play songs like Fight the Power. Yeah. Or Wake Up. Right? Now, I should say this too. I make sure that I have conversations at least a few times a week. I'm not a big phone person, but a few times a week, at least 3 days a week, I make sure I have conversations with friends and comrades and former colleagues. And these are people who think big, dream big, accomplish their work, they accomplish their goals. People who see problems and solve them. People who serve the community. People who make people's lives better. Why? Because the vibration of those conversations never dwells on all the problems. Those conversations people are talking about, I identified that there's a problem here, and I came up with a program to address it. Or I feel like this is lacking here, so I started this organization, and this is the work we do. Or in my case right now, I realize that we got a lot of young men, they're wayward, older men that's confused and miserable and haven't figured out what they're here to do. And I'm going to use this channel and I'm going to reach those men, in a language that they will understand, not over their head, not underneath them, direct language to help them to appreciate the need to be responsible, honest, productive, have integrity, and be conscientious, not be careless, not just do stuff to do it, but give thought to what we do, to be careful, right? All right, so that's important too. I take time every week to make sure I talk to these type of people, because you have to be with A-alikes, meaning when you're trying to get stuff done in a world that seems to sometimes resist people who are trying to get good things done, you then have to have a team of people. And you work to make sure you keep each other's spirit up. You check on each other. So what project are you working on now? Oh, and then you include each other in projects. This is very, very, very important. I make sure I do that. I guess it would be the same as like if somebody identifies as being a Christian or a Muslim, they might go to the mosque or they go to church, right? It's that idea of I'm going to fellowship with like-minded people who share values and personality traits and ambition and, getting things done. So that's important. Now, what does all this mean for you? I told you what I do. What I'm saying here in terms of feeding your mind and that type of thing, it means, listen, family, sometimes you got to disconnect from people, man. They running that miserable line at 24/7. You got to disconnect from that. They trying to bait you into an argument. You got to disconnect from that. They want to say, oh, did you see the car crash and 30 people that got killed? You got to disconnect from that. Sometimes you got to shut your mouth. Sometimes you got to put everything down. Turn off the TV, laptop, phone, games, and get quiet. Sit in silence so you can hear what the divine is trying to say to you, what the God in you is trying to say to you. But you can't do that if you got noise around you 24/7. You running your mouth 24/7, the TV 24/7, the games, the laptop, the phone. No. Sometimes you got to put down the doomsday newspaper, or the doomsday website telling you everything's wrong. The world's going to end in 20 days. Sometimes you got to put that crap down and take some time and pick up something empowering. Get some news about people who are fighting back against social injustice, or people who started a program or an organization that's meeting an important need in the community, right? That's important. People who are against all odds. They may have disabilities. They may be really old. They didn't have a certain amount of education, and yet they started a business that's thriving or whatever. Keep that in your mind. Sometimes you have to make time. Make time, like I told you I do, to speak with people who inspire, who dream big and make their dreams come true. Sometimes you got to feed your spirit wisdom and positivity instead of constant dysfunction, constant loss, failure, bad attitude, right? Because like we said, if you feed your mind garbage every day, don't be surprised when your personality becomes a dumpster. Number 2 thing that you can do to prevent from being miserable. Stop comparing your life to other people. It's one of the fastest ways to be miserable is when you're one of these people that's constantly comparing, their relationship, their car, their house, their job, their income to other people. And I think being that we live in a digital age, social media being so dominant now has played a major part in this comparison game. This social media, man, has people that are very unhappy with their lives. And they're unhappy with their lives, not necessarily because their lives are the worst lives in the world, because we all got problems that we could talk about, but because they're seeing other people. They're comparing their life and experiences to other people. You're comparing your real struggles to somebody else's edited, curated highlights on social media, right? So you go to social media, you go to TikTok and Instagram and YouTube. What do you see? You see people, they traveling to these beautiful islands. They sipping exotic drinks out of coconut. So you see somebody talking about, oh, I got this business and I make 7 figures and I did it in 3 months. You see somebody in a supposedly perfect relationship. Oh, this is a man, a woman always got gifts, make love beautifully. They always attentive and they're just perfect, right? Somebody successful, making all this money. And suddenly you see all these people and you say to yourself, well, damn, my relationship ain't like that. I don't get to go on nice vacations like that. My apartment or home ain't like that. And now suddenly your partner, your home, and your life ain't good enough. And you're depressed and you're bitter and you're questioning yourselves. Listen, comparing yourself to other people is very dangerous because, number one, it means you're buying into an illusion. Why do I say that? Because the people you see on YouTube are editing certain things. They're using AI. Sometimes some of these people, the stuff they're showing you, they've rented. I saw a whole special on it. People rent some mansion for a day for 2 hours, or rent a car, and they're standing in front of a car, right? They're making you think that that's how they live. That's their lifestyle, and it's not. It's a carefully curated and constructed lifestyle to make you bite to buy their book or whatever consulting program they got or whatever they're doing. This even happens with friends. You have friends that's constantly calling, oh, yeah, let me tell you, I just got back from France. Yeah, we was at the cafes. We saw the poetry and they had live music. Yeah, and then we went to, right, they went to all these different places. They can't wait to come and call, tell you, or the person got the perfect relationship, or the person got the perfect life, right? Guess what, family? If you are over 30 years old listening to this, you got to know by now that you got to believe half of what you hear or half of what you see and none of what you hear. Meaning, people have a way of embellishing, right? Sometimes people are telling you what they wish was the case in their life. Sometimes they do have a good life. But what they're not telling you is all the bad stuff that comes with all the good stuff they got, right? So now you're listening to your friend, you watching the TikTok, the Instagram, you're like, that's how people living? And you also don't know what those people had to do to get that. While you were sleeping and farting around, they may have been putting in 19-hour days, right? They may have been studying, they may have had to get all these degrees, or they may have had to have all these mentors or be in all these programs. So nothing comes easy like that, family, is what I'm trying to say. But when you compare yourself to others, it's a lose-lose situation. One, you don't know if the person you're comparing yourself to is real or an illusion. Two, you don't see the flip side, all the problems they got that you don't have, right? And so what happens is that miserable people often obsess over what other people have instead of being humble and being thankful for what they do have. And it's kind of a form of arrogance, isn't it? You got life, you got a few people on this planet who actually love you and care about you. You got the ability to eat, you got somewhere to live, and here you running, you just can't think about none of that. You worry about what the next man or woman got or what you think they got. I've learned not to compare myself to anybody. I salute and congratulate my friends. Those that's doing really well in terms of income, man, I salute them. I'm happy for them. Those that have fame, I'm glad for them. Those who have thriving businesses, I'm happy for them. Genuinely happy for them. But at the same time, I understand this. Everybody has their own path. And with their path, everybody has their own personality traits. Everybody has a different upbringing. Everybody has different goals. So with all that comes different timing, different blessings, different struggles, right? Different assignments and missions in life. And that's important to remember. I have learned to stay focused on my mission and my blessings and my obstacles and my assignment, right? My discipline, my growth, my healing, my purpose. And I'm going to tell you, I suggest you do the same, because if you drive in a car and you spending too much time on the highway looking at another man driving his car in his lane, you might mess around and crash your car. Comparison is spiritual poison, family. Trust me when I tell you. Number three, third way to try to get around being miserable. Learn to let go of bitterness. This one, like all the rest, is important. A lot of people who we might describe as being miserable are carrying unresolved pain. Somebody violated them, betrayed them, lied to them, abandoned them, embarrassed them, physically hurt them, or disappointed them in some way. And you know, what's interesting is I think every human being on the planet can say one of those things at least happened to them. There's different degrees of hurt and pain and trauma, right? But everybody on the planet can say they've been disappointed or betrayed or felt abandoned or lied to or whatever. Some have more serious traumas than others, but everybody has a story to tell about some level of pain. But with miserable people, the average person goes through their stuff, and over time, they learn more about themselves. They learn more about what they went through. They make sense of it. They may get formal therapy or they may get informal therapy, but they begin to heal. Whereas the miserable people would tend to hold on to that a lot longer than others. And instead of healing and making sense of it, they become cold and bitter. Now, every relationship that they're currently in is suffering, not just because of what's in that relationship, but because of old pain. Now, every conversation that they're currently in is angry and bitter and has vitriol, not because of that particular conversation, but because of old stuff. Now every interaction has suspicion and resentment and emotional heaviness. Listen to this. Holding on to bitterness for years destroys you more than anybody else. It's kind of like you drinking a cup of poison, thinking you hurting somebody else. You're hurting yourself. The people you bitter with may not even know you're bitter with them. They're living their life, and you're the one that's suffering because of that bitterness. What am I saying? When I say let go of the bitterness, one of the key ways we do that, family, forgive. Learn to forgive. It sounds easy. It's not always as easy as it sounds. And forgiveness, by the way, does not mean being somebody's fool. Forgiving someone does not mean being naive to the pain they've caused or whatever they've caused in your life. Forgiveness does not mean trusting people who shot at you so they can shoot at you again. It doesn't mean tolerating disrespect or pretending nothing happened. No, forgiveness means, we might say, releasing that emotional poison that you feel that's bubbling up, that's triggering you. Every time something you watch them on TV and shit to do with you, but that shit is triggering you. Why? Why are you getting so upset? Like, come on. Really, think about that. You hear somebody conversation, that's triggering you. You're not even in a conversation. Why? Or you're having a conversation with somebody and they say something and that's triggering you. Why? That's what I mean. When you forgive, you release that. You let that go. And when you let that go, what the person did or how they talked to you, how they treated you, what you're also releasing are all the complicated emotional bags and baggage and feelings and pain attached to that person or those experiences, right? Because replaying what happened 30 and 40 and 50 and 60 years ago, every day of your life is going to predictably create suffering and making you miserable, right? I've learned to understand that healing requires that you do this intentionally. Healing doesn't happen accidentally. Healing happens deliberately. You set space and time aside to reflect on your life and the people in it and who hurt you and why you were hurt and did this happen in childhood and, this type of thing. Praying, if that's what you believe in. Meditating, writing in your journals, learning, growing, and building a future larger than your pain. This is very important because bitterness is like drinking poison and expecting somebody else to die. Number 4, the fourth thing you can do. These are all practical things, by the way, to prevent from being miserable or to get yourself out of being miserable. Stay productive and purposeful, right? When you upset and bitter already and vengeful and vindictive and know it all the time, anything agitates you, got a million complaints, and you have no direction in your life, all that does is exacerbate your misery, right? So a lot of miserable people, if you really if you go deep into their life, if you could watch them 24 hours a day, you might find, not all, but you might find they don't have much structure. They don't have many goals. And when I say goals, I don't mean, what do you want to do? Oh, one day I want to do this. I mean, this is something that's part of their life every day. They're working on it every day. It's never a day that goes by that they're not thinking about that and working on it in ways that are big or small. You'll find they lack discipline, right? So I say I want to build this YouTube channel and reach these brothers, and I post once a month. I mean, come on. I don't do research to find out what are the issues that are confronting men today of different ages, and what are some of the solutions, besides my own. Then I'm not serious. You got to have goals, got to have discipline. You might find that people don't have a real purpose in their life, right? They can't really tell you what they're on this earth to do. They stumble and stutter when you say, tell me about yourself, right? And so my grandmother used to say, God bless her, that idle hands make the devil's workshop. That was her way of saying, when you're not actively pursuing goals, you're not active, you're not industrious, you're not dreaming and making dreams come true, you're not reading, studying, practicing, rehearsing, visualizing, affirming, meditating, praying, getting proper rest, exercising. When you're idle, that destroys you, man. Too much sitting around, too much running your mouth, gossip, talking about what the next man and woman is doing and ain't doing, not working on what you need to be doing. Scrolling on your phone, looking at other people's lives, other people living vicariously through the next man and woman, but you're not doing what you need to do to make things come true in your life. Complaining all the time, wasting your time, wasting your money on foolishness, right? That's going to make you miserable. Trust and know it. We as human beings are wired to have purpose. We do better when we have a purpose, a goal we're trying to reach. And when people stop growing, they stop building, they stop learning, they stop moving forward in their life, they're going to be frustrated. And they're going to be resentful. They're going to be, no matter what they're saying and how they're portraying themselves, they're going to be miserable. Because guess what? Who wants to, I don't care what, listen, I'm not saying that one needs to, makes all their dreams come true at once. I'm not saying that you do this in 40, 50 years. Some people are late bloomers. Some people got it clicking at 20. But what I'm saying is, when you're miserable, when you don't feel this, then you feel there's no hope. You feel, oh, it doesn't matter. I might as well do nothing. You talk yourself out of everything you're going to do. You start, you stop, you start, you stop, you don't finish. 20 different things are left undone. That doesn't make you a bad person. Welcome to welcome to this world we live in, right? This world benefits from that, because when you don't have faith in yourself, when you don't see hope, what do? You participate in certain impulsive behaviors. Some people do that by eating. Some people do that by buying clothes. Some people do that by going to the movies. Some people do that, whatever they do, porn. The point is, these are all areas where that might come from those feels something's missing in your life. So you participate in these behaviors that enrich somebody else and really don't help you. That has to be a frustrating life. And that frustration can often turn into negativity. And that's why people who can tell you, I'm on this earth to do A, B, or C. This is what I have to offer. This is what makes me valuable to people. These are my accomplishments. These are the things I'm going to do to help people, help myself. This is where I see myself in the future. And this is what I'm doing right now to get there. Those people will always, I don't care if they're dirt poor, I don't care if they're not in the nicest house, don't have a car, whatever it is, they're going to always be healthier mentally. They're going to have a healthier energy. They have a hopeful spirit, an optimistic spirit, I can do anything I apply myself to spirit. Nothing they don't see as anything as being outside their grasp. And this isn't because their lives are perfect. It's because no matter what's going on in their life, they made a commitment, I'm going to move forward. Now, we have death in our families. We have loss of loved ones. We have personal injuries and all, loss of jobs that hurt. And there's no way around it. But I'm telling you, and the science backs me up on this as well, that when you got something in your life that's bigger than you, that you tap into, that you believe in, that you're working on, and you believe in yourself and you love yourself, you're going to always be more resilient, more hopeful. You're going to heal faster. You're going to be happier. You're going to get over bad situations quicker, right? All of these things because of your mindset, right? And so I personally believe, and as a person that's taught in many classrooms, in my life and given a lot of lectures and speeches, I know, I don't believe this now, I know every human being needs something meaningful to work toward in their life. There's just no way around it. Also, things like, so when I say purpose in your life, not being idle, what do I mean? Exercise, learn new skills, satisfy your curiosity. Curious about something, look it up. Read some books. I mean, the entire book. Build something, fix something, help your family, help your community, become more disciplined, get your mind right. Because again, when you have purpose in your life, you're going to find you ain't got time to be arguing with people over some complete foolishness. You ain't got time to be jealous of the next man or woman. You got time. You don't want to hear about nobody's drama. You don't want to hear about what happened over there. You busy making sure, because those people living their life, right? So what you're doing is saying, well, I got to make sure I'm living my life. And the fifth and last thing, family, choose gratitude every day. One of the strongest protections against misery, one of the strongest forms of natural holistic medicine, one of the greatest things that get your relationships better, one of the greatest things to heal broken friendships is gratitude. Miserable people obsess over everything missing, every little thing. It could be anything. Grateful people could be in a whole mess of pain and bad things going on and loss of loved ones and ain't got no money and a whole bunch of things. And in the midst of all of that, they're going to say, I'm so thankful for my life. I'm so thankful I got a few people on this earth that actually care about me, check up on me, help me if I need it, and if I ask for it. They're going to find things. I'm thankful for the sun and its warmth and the light it provides and the vitamin D it circulates through my body. I'm thankful for fresh air, I hope, that I'm able to breathe every day. I'm thankful for food. You see, there's a difference there. Now, again, being grateful does not mean that you pretend your life is perfect. That is a myth. Life can be difficult, unfair, and painful. We all know that. But what gratitude does is it changes your perspective. It changes what you focus on. Some people are so focused on what they don't have that they completely overlook the tremendous blessings they have. And remember, gratitude is relative. If you, for a person that has no arms or legs, they're grateful for sight, for vision. So it's all relative, right? But you woke up today, you have opportunities to do something, you have time to improve or learn something, you have somebody that cares about you, you have possibility. So never underestimate the power of gratitude. I recommend habits. I do this. Write down your blessings. Thank people to their face more often. If you got to call them up, say thank you. Appreciate small victories. Family, I can't tell you how many times I go run to the store with the queen says, where you going? I'm going to the store. For what? I don't celebrate. And what's the celebration? I finished a page in this book. The celebration is I earned this money from YouTube. The celebration could be I did all three things I said I was going to do today. It could be anything. I find, you know how some people find things to complain about? I find reasons to be thankful. I really do. Because I believe that we have to stop taking our blessings for granted, or those blessings we do have will be taken away. You know, Jay-Z has a line I like. He says, I wanted to ask God, why do I deserve this? But I was afraid he would say that I deserve less. Think about that. Wow. Here you are running your mouth, complaining about 20 different things, and the divine says, oh, word? Oh, you feeling like that? Okay, so now I'm going to take the 18 things you do got. Now what? Think about that for a minute. Gratitude protects your spirit from becoming consumed by negativity. Gratitude turns ordinary days into blessings. Gratitude could take a subpar person with subpar skills and subpar intelligence and make them brilliant. Trust me on this. So listen carefully before we end this up. Everybody has pain, family. Everybody experiences disappointment and struggle, but we got to guard ourselves, my brothers, from becoming emotionally poisoned by life. We got so much against us already. You got people on this planet who think every man is toxic just because he's a man. Toxic masculinity. They've associated being masculine with being something bad. Right? We got people that assume we're violent, that we're oversexed, that we liars, that we not, we're not serious. We got some type of negative agenda program. Yeah, we got enough on our plate. We die earlier than most people on this planet. It's a lot against us, family. The last thing we need is to add any emotional poison to our lives, because the miserable people don't just suffer personally. They spread that. They're contagious. If you allow them, they will spread that miserable thinking to you and in your life. You got to learn how to protect your spirit at the risk of maybe coming off, wow, who think he is? Or she? You got to be able to say, I don't want to talk about that. Straight up. You got the right to tell people, I don't want to engage that. You have the right to say, I don't want to keep talking about that. That's not that important, right? You have the right. You have the right to decide who's in your space. You have the right to decide where you're going to go and who you're spending time with and what you're doing when you're there. You have to set boundaries. And one of the things we as men do is we will tend to talk a big game. Oh yeah, I'm about this and I'm going to do this. But we don't put boundaries in place. Listen, when you come across people who don't have boundaries, you know automatically that they're inviting pain and unnecessary pain and suffering. Automatically, they're going to have unnecessary and preventable pain and suffering. You know why? Look at the world around you. You ever been on a highway? Does the highway have signs that say drive as fast as you want? No. Can you go to school? Can you get any grades you want and it's okay? No. Can you go to the job and come in the days you choose and stay home the days you choose? No. There's boundaries there. Why? Because people know that if you leave people to their own devices, people will come to work when they feel like it. Oh, I'm a little tired today. I'm going to stay home. Oh, I don't feel like going to school. I'm going to stay home. I'm not going to show up in this relationship. I'm not going to give my all. Whatever it is, family. You understand? So people have boundaries in place. There's things in place, laws, rules, regulations. You don't show up, okay, you're not getting paid for that. Or you're getting fired, or you're getting a letter in your file. Huh? Yeah. Exactly right. You're on the highway. Oh, there's a sign. There's a speed limit. Because they know if they didn't have a speed limit, some of y'all be driving 300 miles an hour. Right? And even with the speed limits, people still go too fast. But what that speed limit does is it gives you a boundary to say, hey, this is what we're tolerating. You go over this, that's unacceptable. Well, guess what? People who are serious about their lives, this is the first thing you can notice off the bat. Look at their life. Do they have boundaries in place? Can people do whatever they want when they want? Do people have 100% access to them? Can people get away with anything and tell them anything? No boundaries. So guess what that means? Universal law says, predictably, you're going to have unnecessary and preventable pain. Because you have to let people know, I don't do that here. If you want to do that there, God bless you. But here, we're not doing it. That goes for parents, my brothers. If you're a father, you got to be a man and tell your kid, no, you're not doing that right now. You failing. You out here doing this. You running with this gang. Nah, you going to go. This is what we doing. You got to take charge. You don't sit around and let failure go all around you and do nothing. That's unmanly. Matter of fact, that's unwomanly too. You create boundaries, and the boundaries are not to hurt anybody. They're to help you. Is to make sure that you have some sense of normalcy in your life. Boundaries. So for instance, all my close friends know, don't call me too much after 9 and definitely don't call after 10. unless it's a dire emergency. Most people know that. They know at that time I'm closed to everybody. I don't want to talk to nobody. I don't want to run my mouth. I went through my whole day. This is now what? When it gets to 10 o'clock, man, a normal person is settling down, settling in, preparing for rest. You may not go to sleep, but you chilling. You in the bed, you relax. Your lady, whatever. Watch a little TV, whatever. You chilling. You can't be on no 24-hour demand for family. You got to have boundaries. This is one of the key ways, in addition to gratitude, that you can protect your peace. And remember, you have to protect your spirit, your mind, your peace. You have to have discipline in your life. You can't just say what you want. You got to put things in place to facilitate that. Remain grateful, remain purposeful. And these are ways you prevent misery from taking over your life. We weren't put here to be miserable. We have the right to fight against being miserable, to be happy. Even when things ain't perfect in our lives, we have the right to dream for a better day and have the mindset that I'm going to make things better. And it may not happen overnight, but I'm going to try my best, right? We wise OGs, we do not allow temporary pain to become part of a permanent part of our personality. Misery may love company, men, but we got to say that you can't have company. That company we don't want over here. You got to keep that over there. You heard? This is Wise OG. I'm signing out. Thank you all. I don't know if there was anyone that had any comment or question. I'm going to see if I can take a look. Before I leave, let me just take a quick look. Let's see if we got any comments or whatever. Let's see. Hold on, family. I'm going to try to see what's going on. We can hear you. Okay. Brother RZ, Judy in the building. Thank you for tuning in. I see a few people liked the live. I want to thank you all. And I'm going to tune out. I see there's no questions or comments. Thank you for letting me know you can hear me. Family, let's take this seriously. We're not on here to suffer. We're not on this planet just to suffer and have pain. When I'm writing my book and I'm telling my story, it ain't never 80% pain. Never. That's some of my story, but most of my story is going to be dreaming for a better life, working to have a better life, the dreams I have for my family, how I tried to make those dreams come true. And maybe some of that is going to be, I didn't succeed in everything I tried. I didn't. Sometimes I failed. But that ain't going to be the dominant part of my story, right? My story is going to be about a person learned from some great teachers, and grew up in Harlem and had to fight sometimes, but I learned, man. I learned from even the bad things I learned from. Family, my story is not a woe is me. It will never be a woe is me. My story will never be a whole bunch of damn complaints and annoyances and agitations. Never. I refuse to let this society, the government, and whoever keep me in that miserable place. That's never going to happen, because that is hell. I don't know if there's a hell the way the Christians say, but I know to be a person walking this earth with all this opportunity, all beautiful people, free ways to learn stuff on the internet, man, please, you can get a library card for free and take out book. What? I'm never going to feel hopeless and helpless ever. With that said, my brothers, stand up, represent, get back on the throne. Our homes, our relationships, our organizations and communities need men to step up and take our rightful place. Does that mean that we dominate our sisters? It does not. It means we step up and take our place. Notice I didn't say the place. We take our place on the throne. And the sisters got to take their place on the throne, right? But we have to do that. And the young ones, we got to get them right. Right? So family, thank you for listening. Keep tuning in. Please subscribe if you haven't. Please let other brothers know. If there's any sisters listening, thank you so much for listening. I think sisters are one of the reasons that the subscriber base is growing, because they're sharing it with men they care about in their lives. And I thank you too, my sisters. Listen, family, have a blessed day. And you know what I got to say, right? You know I'm from New York, family. So you know I got to say, I'm rooting for the Knicks to win this one tonight, even though they haven't won one in God knows how long. But if they win tonight, I'd be like, wow, that's a nice surprise. Family, peace, and y'all take care. Thank you.